Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Rhyme of the Times for the week ending 25th of January 2025. Trump inaugurated and invigorated and has Biden's record excoriated, while his executive orders aren't universally appreciated. The Southport killer is hated and berated and objurgated and now incarcerated. The start of the Gaza ceasefire is belated but is being correctly effectuated. Eowyn leaves parts of the UK devastated. On Sunday, some weren't quite sure what it was for. Trump didn't need any more votes anymore, but still he took to the campaigning floor as if it was still 2024. In Washington, the Trump fans were visceral and raw, with a rallying roar as if going to war, letting the world know just what's in store when next day their man would be back through the White House door. Whether Trump's adored or abhorred, he can't be ignored. For 4 years more, like it or not, we're all on board. Severe weather forced organisers to decide that the inauguration should happen inside. The first time since Reagan 40 years ago that this had to be so, because temperatures were too low. For Trump it was not an ideal scenario. Indoors can't fit his ego, and as we all know, he loves to exaggerate and shout his loudest about how proud he is of how large his crowd is. So it was from within the Capitol Rotunda the world heard Trump's verbal blood and thunder. Some prefer to call it bluff and blunder, as he tore his predecessor's record asunder. And Biden sat there just a few feet away, but seemed miles away from hearing what Trump had to say. Trump's acceptance speech after being sworn in was a clear and unambiguous warning that much of Biden's work would soon be in the bin as USA's new golden age was ushered in. From the country's economy to its porous borders, from the Green New Deal to law and order, he promised to end the chaos and disorder with a flurry of radical executive orders. He didn't deliver with much aplomb. In fact, he was as subtle as a nuclear bomb. Trump doesn't see the trees, only the wood. Those orders were signed as quick as he could. Mass deportations, mass DEI sackings, and the transgender agenda took a shellacking. There is just male and female the way it's always been. God created nothing betwixt or between. Out of the Paris Treaty, now it's full steam ahead to drill baby drill, as he has frequently said. Also leaving the WHO. Some may say MAGA means making America go away. And law and order advocates are not best pleased that many J6 insurgents have been released. It should have been on Sunday at 8:30 a.m. when Gaza saw the end of murder and mayhem, but it was 11:15 when there was finally silence, an end to the sound of war and violence. Hamas had not released the names, as they'd agreed, of the first 3 Israeli hostages to be freed. Hamas blamed technical reasons for the delay. Israel kept up the airstrikes till they got their way. Then, with a final flourish of intimidation, Hamas handed the hostages to the Red Cross, waiting. 3 female soldiers, the first pawns in the deal after their 469-day ordeal. 5 Thai workers were also given their liberty, and on Saturday freedom for 4 more Israelis. Each time Israeli hostages are set free, a large group of Palestinians will also be released from incarceration in Israel, out of jail and back to Gaza without fail. The date of July 31st, 2024 in Britain will be a black day forevermore. The day a quiet northern town came into world focus for an act of evil so utterly atrocious. A monster entered a kid's dance hall with a knife with the intention of ending all human life. 17 years old, so in the eyes of the law too young to take responsibility for, killing 3 little girls, maiming many more. Mental scars so sore will stay for some forever raw. The killer was a few days from adult classification. Perhaps the law's an ass on this occasion, 'cause it meant the judge had no option of imposing the whole life tariff that he might well have chosen. Instead, the degenerate creature was told, "You have 52 years without parole." The motive for this crime remains a question. For any normal person, there's no comprehension. To turn happy dancing into screaming and fleeing from a pathetic excuse for a human being. And the coward wasn't present to hear his fate, too spineless to face other people's hate. On Monday he'd sidestepped a lengthy trial, pleading guilty allowed him to run a mile from scrutiny in the public spotlight, at least for the families, possibly some respite. Many may ask what's the Southport killer's name, but giving a name attributes some sort of fame, and other narcissists might seek the same. Such attention seekers should attract only shame. So a faceless nobody, the wretch shall remain, while the victims must receive all the acclaim. This time of year storms with names are nothing new. In fact, this time of year they form a lengthy queue. This week it was Eowyn's turn to show its power, with wind gusts over 100 miles per hour, red and yellow warnings from coast to coast, the whole of Britain blown from pillar to post, with Scotland and Ireland suffering the most.